optimizing retirement plans for business growth and employee retention. The instructor today is not moi, but will be Ashby Price, who is our designated financial expert and retirement plan expert. So, Ashby, if you wouldn't mind going forward to the oath, and we can all say the oath together. Awesome sauce. If everyone could repeat after me. I, Tiffany Joy Green, do solemnly swear to accept the lifelong obligation to hone my superhero powers and apply those superhero powers to the good of the people I serve. I will promote and add to the ongoing success of Empower People, its members, and the people, organizations, and communities it serves. I will help prepare the next generation of superheroes. I am driven to be a positive change agent for those I serve and interact with. And if you could put your hands on your hips, shoulders back, look up into the sky. This is called superhero pose. You will feel empowered. So if you're ever having one of those blah moments, feel free to take a dose of the superhero pose. And now I pass the baton over to Ashby.
Okay, well, Tiffany, really appreciate your time, and everyone who's joined, appreciate your time as well. I know we have someone from Georgia, so go Dogs. Um, yeah, yeah, it really today I want to talk about the importance of retirement plans, how they help, businesses and nonprofits really grow, attract and retain and reward employees. And talk about employee retention metrics, tax incentives for businesses as well if they do start up a retirement plan, various retirement plan types, and just as a brief overview of legislation and some changes that have come down the pipeline the past couple of years. And then, after that, we'll open up to Q&A. And really a quick background about me. Born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. I was crazy enough to start my own firm at the beginning of the pandemic. So over 5 years ago, started Ashwood Financial Partners. Been in the financial services industry for 25 plus years. I just rolled off my 2-year term as a president of the CFA Society of Virginia. I'm the past president of the Central Virginia Employee Benefits Council. Really involved with a lot of nonprofits in and around the Richmond area. So really focus on giving back. Big believer in giving back and helping support the community because it helps everyone. Really, why do businesses and nonprofits want to have a retirement plan? Really, it's to attract, retain, and reward employees. Those businesses and nonprofits that have some type of retirement savings plan for their employees, it's a really good way to, improve the culture, improve retention, and really additionally reward those employees, especially if they stay around for a while. And in addition, there's some tax benefits to business owners if they do have or if they do set up a retirement plan. So it's a really good way for business owners as well to really maximize their retirement savings where they can mitigate their tax liability as well by offering a retirement plan. Why are retirement benefits so important? One, so many individuals think that they're going to be able to have a sustainable lifestyle in retirement with Social Security, but Social Security historically is only going to provide a portion of pre-retiree income. So there's that income gap that needs to be filled to really help retirees with their living and other expenses in retirement. And, based on some surveys, really, employees feel more valued by the employer if the employer offers a retirement plan. They have a higher job satisfaction rate as well. The annual turnover for the employees is lower, usually materially lower, which can actually be more cost effective for a business or a nonprofit because the cost of turnover and going out and having to hire a replacement for a lost employee can be one, time consuming, and two, relatively expensive. And in many cases, they have to go out and they have to hire a replacement for the former employee, and they're actually having to pay more a higher salary and other benefits that are higher than the prior employee. And
Ash,
really the average,
Ashby, may I
yeah,
just interject a quick stat that I just read? The
yeah.
cost of replacing an employee is generally 3 times their salary.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, the higher up you go to the, manager level to the executive level, it's actually even more expensive. So, yeah, in many cases, yes, there is a cost to a retirement plan, but, the cost benefit analysis and really long term, if you can reduce the turnover with your employee base, it's going to be much more cost effective over time. And, the average tenure is longer for businesses and profits that have a retirement plan, and employees are they have a higher likelihood of staying 5 or more years if there is a retirement plan in place at their employer. Retirement benefits, really, it helps the employees feel more financially secure. As you can see, some of these metrics, employees have a much higher feel for their financial security if there is a retirement plan in place. They also have they feel like they're more on track for retirement if there is a retirement plan sponsored by their employer, and it reduces the financial stress as well, especially with the inflationary environment we've seen the past couple of years with the rising cost of healthcare, of college education. Having the retirement plan in place, especially if there's an employer matching contribution, it does help reduce the financial stress for those employees. And really, this kind of goes to your comments earlier, Tiffany. A lot of times, especially for high level or highly specialized employees, it could be 4 times the salary. If you have like an executive leave, or if you have a highly specialized employee who's been with your organization for a while, they've gone through all the training, and then they end up leaving. It could cost almost 3 to 4 times their salary to go out and replace them. So that's something that employers need to keep in mind if they're evaluating, setting up a retirement plan, or if they currently have a retirement plan. It might be a good time for them to review their retirement plan and see if they can enhance the employer matching contribution, if at all possible. So what solutions are available? I know, a few of you on the call are, not living in Virginia, but in the state of Virginia a few years ago, the state mandated retirement plan. So any employer that's been in business for 2 years or more, and they have 25 or more full-time equivalent employees, those small businesses are required to implement a retirement plan, either go through the state mandated plan or set up a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, or a 401k. So, Virginia and about 15, 16 other states now in the US are mandating retirement plans for smaller employers. Skip that because I know a lot of you are out of state. And in a few years ago, with the Secure Act and Secure Act 2.0, that was legislation that was passed by Congress. It's really incentivizing small businesses to start up retirement plans. Now, with small businesses, depending on the employees that they have, if they have 50 or fewer employees and a small business starts up a retirement plan, they could receive up to a $5,500 annual tax credit for a 3-year period. And then there are additional tax credits available for employer matching contributions, depending on the employees and some criteria. So now it could be a great time to set up a retirement plan. One, because there's a tax incentive tied to it. Two, it's a good way to retain and reward your employees and really help reduce turnover. And three, it's a good way for for business owners as well to help maximize their retirement plan. Here's an example. These are all estimates and some projections of potential tax savings and tax credits available to employers. So one is a smaller business that has about 20 employees. They're setting up a 401k plan. They have, a good amount of employees. And over a 5-year period, the estimated tax credit available to that business is about $86,000. So that's true savings for the small business. For a larger business, with the examples 55 employees, the tax savings could be even higher. So it really is a good way and a good time right now for small to mid-sized businesses if they don't have a retirement plan in place for them to seriously consider, establishing a retirement plan, not only again to attract, retain, and reward their employees, but secondly, there could be some meaningful tax savings, over a 5-year period. There are various types of retirement plans, and based on, the business or the nonprofit and the demographics of the employees, there are several different options. A few options are SEP IRAs. So SEP IRA is a simplified employee pension. And really some of the key features of a SEP IRA, the employees are not making their own contributions into this account. All contributions come from the employer. There's really minimal paperwork and reporting. But one of the things that the business owners need to keep in mind is SEP IRA, the employer contributions are 100% vested. So that means once the employer makes that simple IRA contribution for all of the employees, it's the employee's money. So if the employer makes that contribution and a week later the employee leaves, goes to another job, they can roll over that money into another retirement plan. So that's something to keep in mind. A simple IRA is really good for smaller employers, especially if they have 100 or fewer employees. It has some features of a 401k, but it's a lot less complex and usually more cost effective than a 401k plan. One of the benefits of a simple IRA plan is the employer can set it up two ways. One, where there's a dollar for dollar match if an employee is making a contribution, and that dollar for dollar match is usually up to 3%. Or there's another option that's called a 2% non-elective. So a 2% non-elective, that means that any eligible employee, they're going to receive a 2% contribution based on their eligible compensation for the year from the employer, regardless of if the employee contributes to the simple IRA plan or not. And I'm really a big believer that you want to incentivize the employees to contribute. So typically, based on the situation, I typically recommend the dollar for dollar match up to 3%. So any employee who does not contribute to the simple IRA plan, they would not receive the employer matching contribution. But if they contribute 3% of their salary, then they'd receive the 3% employer matching contribution. So pretty much they're doubling their retirement contributions, every pay period or however the plan is set up, not only with their contributions, but then with the employer match. A 401k is a way for employers to really help support their employees. And with a 401k, it could be more expensive than a simple IRA, but a lot more flexibility with plan design. So 401ks can be much more customizable for an employer than a simple IRA or a SEP IRA. So typically, a lot of my conversations now with clients and with prospects, we're comparing 401ks versus simple IRAs. And in many ways, 401k plans can provide the maximum retirement savings contributions for the employees and also can really customize the plan design based on the demographics of the employees of the organization and the needs and the wishes of the business as well. For certain businesses, deferred compensation can be another retirement savings vehicle, especially. Yeah. Did someone say something? Oh, okay. Um, Deferred compensation is a really good way for high earners, owners of certain businesses to maximize their retirement savings above and beyond the 401k plan. With the 401k plan, it's called a qualified plan where it's covered under ERISA, which was a law that was passed in the 70s. But with deferred compensation, it's not covered under ERISA. So there's more flexibility. And with the deferred compensation plan, you can just target certain key employees within your business or within the nonprofit to give them additional retirement savings above their 401k plan or above a simple IRA plan. So it really is a good way for high earners to really supercharge their retirement savings, and it really helps from a tax standpoint as well. So why is saving for retirement so important? As going back to my earlier comments, as you can see, especially some high earners with the pre-retirement income, Social Security, if someone's making $150,000, in the workforce and then they retire, the projection is Social Security is only going to cover about 1/3 of that pre-retirement income. So there is going to be a gap in, in their income in retirement. So that's why I encourage all employees and everyone to save for their own retirement. I always say it's never too late to start saving. It's always good, and especially for the younger individuals or anyone who has the option to participate in a 401k plan or an employer sponsored plan, especially with an employer match. Really take advantage of that, because if not, you could be leaving free money on the table. And people are living longer as well. The longevity risk where people are potentially outliving their money, every year as the average age of both males and females is increasing. There's longevity risk where there's not enough retirement income to really sustain living for those retirees. As you can see, from 1990 to 2020, the average life expectancy of females increased slightly from 84 years to 84 and a half years. For men, it went up from about 80 years of age to 82. And over the next 70 years, 65 years, it is expected to increase as well. Almost 90 years old for females and then about 87 for men. So, with technological improvements and medical improvements as well, people are definitely living longer. So that's why it's important to start saving for retirement as early as possible. And saving early really makes a significant difference. As you can see, individuals who start saving early in life and contributing more to their retirement plan, it really makes a significant difference. As you can see, someone who didn't start saving until their age 35, and as compared to someone who was much younger at 25, there's a significant difference in the expected retirement asset that they have in retirement. So start sooner rather than later. It's never too late to start investing, especially if there's an employer matching contribution. Definitely take advantage of that, because again, you don't want to leave free money on the table. Secure Act, this is what I talked about earlier. Really some legislation that was passed into law almost 3 years ago that provides the additional tax incentives for employers to set up retirement plans for their businesses. It also provides some additional provisions that are beneficial to many employees. And, overall, I'll open it up to questions if anyone has questions.